Hi everyone, I'm Julie with Stitches of Love Quilting, and I'd like to talk to those of you today who belong to our Mini of the Month PDF Club. Now, what happens when you get your PDF pattern in the email? You will download it and then you want to print it off. Now for you, it's formatted into the regular size paper, so your printer will work nicely for you, and you'll want to start by tracing off your patterns. They're in reverse so that they're ready to be used with the Fusible on your pattern, so that, for instance, your duck is in the right orientation and your bunny, etc. Now what happens, how you do this? You take your Fusible. I've already traced on here the little duck's wing, and then I'm going to trace close to that. I leave about, say an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch in between, because I'm using the same fabric for him. I would leave probably about that much. So then I just take and I use a Pigma pen because it is permanent and it's a fine line, which works well on the line. If you use a really thick line, it's hard to know exactly where, and sometimes your pieces don't fit as nicely because it's hard to cut onto an area where it's not as defined as it is with a thin line. So what you're going to do is leave a little bit of space in between. And here we go, I've almost got that traced. So here's the 2 pieces for my duck. Now I can loosely cut around this because those are my only 2 pieces that I'm going to be using in my, quote, duck fabric. I would then cut these like this, leave a little bit of space around them, something like this. And so now it's ready to go onto your fabric that you're going to be using for your duck. And so then I would press this down. Only after I've fused the Fusible to the fabric is then when you actually cut on the line. You don't want to cut on the lines beforehand, otherwise the edges of your fabric will be real rough and raggy and it just won't work as nicely as you'd like it to. So you would have these cut that way. Now there's something special when you do your border pieces for this. The borders we've drawn, because the paper's not big enough really for the whole size of your little mini quilt, we've drawn a diagonal line. So you see, here's one bottom edge. If you would draw this and come up and draw this diagonal line, now this isn't exactly, let me use this piece here. This piece is bigger. And sometimes I'll admit I like to use a ruler when I'm tracing long lines like this. It just comes out a little bit nicer, so forgive me so you guys aren't watching me forever. I'm just going to show you how I would do this. And boy, I'm not tracing very nicely, but it's quick, just so you'll get the idea. So here we have the first piece on the bottom I've traced with that line. Now for the rest of that border, I can line this up onto the side over here. You see this diagonal line matches, and then I would be able to trace all the way up here and get the rest of my piece, and it will come out to be the right size, okay? And just like the other, you'll want to trace that, leave a little border around it, and then press it onto your fabric and then cut it out on the line, okay? Now, to actually put your placement guide together, which is real important, you'll have 2 pieces of paper and you'll want to use the guides and line it up, because there's some specialness about this one, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. So I hope that you enjoy getting everything ready for your Easter surprise. Thanks.